My 23 female friend, 22 female, just asked me to play the violin in her wedding. I do not and have never played the violin. Also, I think she might literally be going insane. Like, really. Trigger warning, possible mental health issues and verbal abuse. So, my friend from school asked me to be in her wedding over lunch today. I have known this girl about 2 years, and because we have the same major, we're school friends. We partner up in class, do projects together, etc. But I don't really know or hang out with her outside of this setting. Anyway, she asked me to be in her wedding. I assumed as a bridesmaid, but I was wrong. She said she had a dream of her perfect wedding, and it was so beautiful. She woke up crying, wrote it all down, and cried for hours because it was just so beautiful and perfect. She even made some sketches and said this was a vision from God of her wedding, and she couldn't even explain the warmth and ecstatic love to me because she didn't have the words, but that she would do anything to capture it perfectly. She then likened herself to an artist with divine inspiration and went on for about 20 minutes about the details of her inspiration and how beautiful and uniting this wedding would be. That it would change lives and be so much more than a ceremony, and that the execution was so perfect, it would be more of a visual statement, an artistic dedication to love that everyone would be living part of. In this beautiful, perfect wedding, I am to the front left on the aisle, playing violin as her guests arrive, in a long white gown, feathered and beaded and soft, very romantic. I'll know it when I see it. I laughed and told her I've never played the violin before, and as such may have a hard time performing for her guests. She told me that I had a year to learn, and it was extremely important to her. I looked at what I could of her beautiful wedding notes, and they seem really insane. Lots of stuff feverishly circled or written over and over, like, quote, inspect what you expect, and over, quote, all in white in caps letters, literally scribbled over other words, all in the margins, copied into big paragraphs. The part she showed me of my role just said, quote, my name, violin, soft and complex, beautiful and intricate, a concerto, lots of detail. Wow, the guests. I don't know how to play violin at all. I've literally never touched one. She sounded like she was on drugs talking about it. She was feverish and flitting from the topic to topic and talking about how maybe I could compose something, but she wanted it to sound, quote, so intricate that no one would ever believe it was just one person playing it. It seems beyond normal bride stuff, and when I told her, even if I did have a year to learn to play, it would be basic at best, she slammed her hand on the table and said, quote, stop, and then went right back to her cheery, excited talk about her divine wedding. I very gently tried to refuse and told her that this wedding sounded really important and that I would be happy to try to find a professional to play for her. And she said, quote, no, it has to be you. I'm sure of it. And went right back to talking, as if I had suggested on wearing a hat to the beach, just really casually dismissed. And then she dropped a bomb, saying, quote, besides, I already bought your violin, and it was almost $2,000. What? I don't know how to play. I told her she was being insane, but she just kept making no noises or putting up her hands and saying, enough. Eventually, she just said the violin would be here in a few weeks and that I needed to find someone that gives lessons and learn, and that she believed in me. She told me that the worst case scenario, I get to learn a skill that most people would have loved to learn, and that if I do well, I can have the violin as payment. I don't want a violin. I don't play. And then she left, and here I am, dumbfounded. I can't exactly cut ties and run. It is summer now, but we have a class together currently, and 3 classes together in the fall. I can only see her getting crazier about this. She's scaring me. And while she's always had a flair for the dramatics, she's never been this crazy before. I'm not really sure if this is just mega bridezilla and she will get over it, or if I should just pretend that I don't know her, or if I should call a loony bin to come pick her up, or just take up the violin and hope whatever god of weddings visited her grants me some magical powers. The first thing that really comes to mind, and I'm not a professional, so before you come at me for diagnosing, I'm not a professional, obviously. But, like, it's giving manic. It's giving, like, a little bit of a manic episode. I feel like the excitement and, like, the so, like, back and forth of everything, like, the whirlwind of it. It's, like, everything seems like so exciting to them. They have like new ideas all the time. Like, and it's like they think it's the most revolutionary thing ever. I mean, that's at least what I've experienced with the person close to me that has bipolar. And like when they're off their meds and have been in manic episodes before, it's like listening to them just like explaining, like this has happened multiple times before, like listening to them explaining like an idea that they think is just like the most amazing idea ever and just like revolutionary, and then like also just throwing in a few things in there that like really make no sense at all. That's just like what's going on here. And they're just like super passionate about it, but then also like really emotional and can like switch up like really quickly and then go back to like regular, if that makes sense. Like, for instance, they would be like telling me some revolutionary idea, and then all of a sudden, like the next second, they're like crying and saying that like they're just like really upset, and then it's just like right after that back to revolutionary idea again. So that is my prediction. Also, yeah, I should probably call someone. I don't know, like that's so weird to me that, I mean, not weird, but I feel like it's hard because you're not even like close friends with her. You're just classmates with her. So how are you supposed to like know who to call? Because like you should definitely be calling a family member, in my opinion, so that they can like help out, because there's not, if you were like a close friend, then I would be like, you have a lot more of like a ability to do something. But as a classmate, I don't know much that you could do. Someone said, honestly, she sounds like she's dealing with a mental illness. This is typically the age that schizophrenia kicks in. She likely doesn't know she has it, nor does anyone else who loves her and can help her. If I were you, I would approach her fiance, her family, and school mental health. She's not bridezilla. She's a very sick woman in need of help. You didn't ask to be put in this position, but you are. You need to get other people involved in helping her. And then OP said, I guess I can try. I'm Facebook friends with her fiance. I could shoot him a message. Okay. I mean, that's so interesting. Oh, I guess this was in 2014. I was like, you're Facebook friends with her fiance? That's so funny. All right, this is the update. So I sent a modified OP to her fiance and added after, quote, I'm really worried because this seems pretty mentally unstable, way beyond normal bride stuff. I got this reply on Facebook from her, not her fiance, at about 2 p.m. today. I didn't see it because she deleted me from her friends and it went to a different mailbox. Facebook is weird. Quote, thanks so much for trying to tell my husband I'm crazy. Thank God he understands what it is like to love someone and what planning a wedding is all about. Excuse me that I have a dream I'm passionate about. Trust me, if you ever get a ring with that attitude, you will understand too, but I doubt it. Nice try trying to get between us, but guess what, sweetie? Nothing can tear us apart, least of all, you. Ha 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 ha. You're clearly jealous, and that makes me feel really bad for you. Unquote. And then about an hour ago, I got a message from her fiance. A long message. The TLDR is that she went effing nuts on a florist because he couldn't do her entire wedding in wisteria. The horror. Almost got arrested for making a scene in his store. He found out she has spent her financial aid and student loan money for the second half of the summer and the fall on random wedding stuff like my violin, and has been booking venue tours and tastings with ridiculously expensive prices. If anyone is familiar with Texas, she is looking at doing her wedding in Giant Castle in that ritzy Lake Travis part of Austin. You know, by the huge multi-million-dollar mansions. So he told her about the need for a budget and being realistic, and she threw an epic effing fit. At this point, she left and went to her sister's house. I messaged him back saying that she may be bipolar and in a manic state, and to ask her sister to maybe get her to a doctor, but he was more upset and focused on being hurt at what she said to him about the wedding than her. She threw a right little tantrum and accused us of sleeping together. I told him that, needless to say, I would not be playing violin in their wedding and that I was sorry for any trouble, but I really did think it was best he seek some mental health help for her. He said, quote, you made your point. You don't need to rub it in. I can take care of my family. I told him I understood and wished him the best. And I guess that's that. I didn't see her in class today, though, and it looks like she won't be coming back for the fall unless she has a plan to get more money. Thank you for the help, everyone. I really did appreciate having a few hundred friends in this.
If you want extra content weekly, head over to patreon.com/storytimesociety and become a member on there for extra content. Love you.
See, it's like so, it's bothering me because if you can't like, if you, he's being so immature about it, which is really showing his age. Like, I'm assuming he's also probably 22 or 23. So, dude, you being like, I get it. Like, I can take care of my family. Dude, she's trying to help because your fiance is in a manic state and you are just worrying about what she said to you. Like, of course I understand how it can be hurtful. Like, I have, like, many people have told me many things. Many people in my life and family members and friends that deal with mental health issues. I've gone through situations where, yeah, it's definitely not the nicest things to hear. It's definitely not the nicest things to like experience. And it, at one point with one person close to me, got very violent and scary. And that was because of mania. But still, yeah, it scares you and like it does stick with you. But at the same time, I know that that wasn't them. It was the mania causing that. So, I don't know. I just feel like, come on, you got to be like more mature. If you're getting married, you have to be more mature and you have to know these things and be willing to set things aside for a moment and focus on the mental health crisis of it all because that's really scary. Someone said, we demand the long message from the fiance, please. And OP said, no, something feels kind of sleazy about doing that. I did the update, but there's a difference to me between telling people the outcome of something that happened to me and copying out a message about someone else. I don't know. It seems shady and there's details in it I'm sure he would be embarrassed to have out there. She made a scene and spent all of her money earmarked for school. Use your imagination for the rest. And then the top comment says, this was a wild and depressing post to read. I hope the bride got the help that she obviously needed. Yeah, especially as it didn't look as if it was coming from the fiance. We should hope it would come from the sister then. That's really the most disappointing thing. The assumed love of his life is having a mental health crisis, and he's just acting butthurt because she lashed out at him when he didn't go along with it instead of actually trying to get her help. I know, that's why I'm like, yeah, that's why you cannot be getting married. I'm so sorry. Someone's responded to that and said, these kids are really, really young. I agree with you, but I doubt they have the emotional maturity for any of this. OP is a rare bird. And then someone said, fiance is also in the military. Coming from a similar background, I can safely say that young men in the military tend to be emotionally stunted beyond others their age as well. Marrying young to avoid barracks life is horribly common in the military. She might not be the love of his life and more like the key to family benefits and a house. Wait, sorry, but what is barracks? A building or group of buildings used to house soldiers. Oh. Okay. That's why people get married so young in the military? Because I've always heard that military men get married so quickly, and I've also always heard that a lot of them cheat. I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them. I've heard a lot of bad experiences with military men. Last time I also said something about firefighters. This was a long time ago, but I was saying how I wouldn't recommend being with a firefighter because, you know, there's a rumor around town that these men, they like to, you know, get around when they're in relationships. And someone was so mad at me for that. She fully like commented on so many different posts and then she messaged me, like DM'd me multiple times and stuff. And I'm like, girl, I don't know if you're projecting or if you're just protecting, but usually you can assume that when you say like, oh, all military men are bad, of course there's going to be like a 0.1% of them that aren't. And maybe your husband is the exception. I would love that for you. I'm not saying I wish that your husband was cheating on you or anything because he's a firefighter. I'm just saying that's the rumor that's going around town, okay? God forbid someone repeats a rumor. No, but I've also heard many horror stories about friends dating firefighters. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.